today is Accounting for Makers and Sellers, Staying Organized for Business Insights and Tax Time. Very crucial, as you all know, as makers and sellers, how important that is. So today we have one of our main presenters, which is Joel Bush from Shoeboxed, and he's going to be leading this talk. And we've also got Ryan Thompson from Outright on the call, as well as a few of us from Stitch Labs. So without further ado, I will pass it off to Joel. Just one thing again, I'll repeat it, is if any of you guys have any questions as we're going through this, I'm going to make sure that I type in and feed Joel some questions. So if you want any clarification about any of it, both on the accounting side, anything specifically about Outright or Shoeboxed or Stitch, you just let us know and we'll get those answered for you. Okay, Joel Bush from Shoeboxed, take it away.
All right, thanks, Willow. I appreciate that. Everyone, thanks for taking the time. Hope we can give you some good insight to help you run your business more effectively today and hopefully turn you on to some tools that can make that as simple as possible. As Willow mentioned, my name is Joel Bush from Shoeboxed, and I'll be walking through some real basic fundamentals about accounting and some ways that we can help you. First things first, let's talk about why accounting is so important. We know that none of us got into our current jobs, and particularly those of you that are makers and sellers, none of you got into that so that you could worry about your profit and loss statement or your balance sheet or keeping track of documents as dictated by the IRS. So why is it important that you pay close attention to your accounting and that you are diligent about doing so through the life cycle of your business? The first reason that accounting is important, and really the primary function of accounting, is to record the transactions of your company. Okay, this is revenue coming in from sales. This is cash going out in the forms of expenditures and paying your bills. Understanding what's happening there and being able to know if you're operating profitably or not is the only true way to understand the health of your company. Okay, knowing if the things that you're making and the way that you're taking those to market and all the costs associated with that, knowing that you're doing that at a profit is massively important. And it seems elementary to say that, but there's so many different facets to running your business that having tools to help you keep track of that without wasting a lot of your time doing so is really the only way that you're going to know if your business is headed in a good direction or if you need to do some work to either trim costs or drive more sales. It's also important because the IRS and your state tax authority, whatever they are, requires that you file with them either quarterly or yearly, depending on how your business is set up. And they have some let's say some hard expectations about what sort of information you're going to provide to them, what sort of format that's going to be in, what sort of timeline you deliver that information to them is all massively important. We all know that the IRS is not good with jokes, and they're not very soft on the edges. And the last main point I want to make about why accounting is important is that the organization in tracking the revenue and expenses will really help you know, again, what's working, what's not working, and whether or not the programs and the processes you're going through now are pushing you in a profitable direction. Now, some elementary keys of success or successful accounting. First is to use a consistent accounting method. Okay, if you think way back before computers, this was the ledger. You had to handwrite every transaction, whether that was money coming in or money coming out. Again, it's just being very consistent about how you keep track of the transactions that your business takes part in. Setting a set of rules to determine income and expenses to report for yourself will help you with that consistency. Keeping good records and having appropriate supporting evidence to prove income and expenses. Again, when the IRS or your state tax authority comes knocking, as much as we would like them to, they're not going to take your word for it. You have to have supporting documentation. You have to be able to prove that that $500 that you spent at Michael's was actually for supplies and not for artwork for your house. Okay. Another key to successful accounting is to not leave everything to the last minute. With some of the tools that we're going to show you today, it's very easy to keep a real-time snapshot of your financials, and at any given point, jump in and run reports or produce the data that either you require for your internal operations or that the authorities may require of you. One last thing, and this is somewhat of a disclaimer, I'm not a tax expert. As far as I know, Ryan is not an enrolled agent or a tax expert either. If you have questions, seek professional advice. There are some great organizations out there that can help you find and identify the appropriate bookkeepers and accountants for your business. Now, one thing, knowing that the primary audience today is makers and sellers, you guys are small business owners and you may be doing a considerable amount of your business through PayPal or Etsy or eBay or wherever it is. There's a new tax rule this year called the 1099-K. And if you have sold more than $20,000 in more than 200 transactions during the year with any one payment processor, you should expect a 1099-K in the mail from that processor. You get a copy of this and the IRS gets a copy of this. So the IRS is going to know how much you made from that given revenue channel. So you need to have records of your expenses so that you can minimize your tax burden and hopefully so you can deduct as many expenses toward that income as possible. Now let's talk a little bit about the tools today that can help make this much simpler for you. The first one we're going to dig into is Outright. Before we do, let's talk about why the right tools are important. Obviously, the whole point of software is to help you become more efficient. And our feeling is that with the right tools, you can have pro-level solutions with very little or in some cases no expense whatsoever. Gives you more time to do what you love. Again, none of us got into our current job because we wanted to be bogged down with accounting. We wanted to make crafts. We wanted to run a software company. We wanted to do whatever that thing is and not get into accounting. So the right tools can help you, again, focus on your passion or the reason you got into this business in the first place. A large part of what Outright does is automate that. I'll let Ryan get into that in more detail in a minute. But once you set up your systems and you get everything in place, it really goes on autopilot. And you don't have to be doing daily transactions. You don't have to be doing a lot of data entry to keep your books current. The last thing is really the peace of mind. Okay, small business owners and self-employed individuals are much more likely to be audited by the IRS. The tools that we're going to show you and some of the processes today will help you be prepared without having to do without having to do much ongoing work. So with that, I'll hand it over to Ryan and let Ryan talk through a bit of what Outright can do for you.
Thanks, Joel, and thanks everybody for attending. So as Joel mentioned, what I'm going to do is spend just a few minutes to give everybody an overview on how Outright will help you keep track of your finances, both for some business insights as well as tax time. And if people have questions, feel free to type them in, and Willow will either shout them out and I can answer as we go, or find a good time to get those answered during the webinar. So if folks aren't familiar with Outright, we're an online application that helps small businesses keep track of their finances. The way that we work is that you basically connect any accounts that you have where your transactions may be online. So this could be places like eBay or Etsy or PayPal or even your banks and credit cards. And we'll bring in all of that data on a daily basis and we'll categorize it for you. And we'll show you very simple charts and reports so you know how your business is doing. And we'll also categorize things for you for tax time so that you're always organized and taxes don't have to be the nightmare they may have been in the past. So if we go to the next slide. So this is the Outright overview page. And just a couple of things that I want to point out so people understand how our system works. First of all, you'll see that it's pretty simple, right? So there's no complicated finance jargon on this page. We don't talk about debits and credits. We don't talk about accruals. We don't worry about things like balance sheets. And the reason why we don't have any of that stuff is because for our target customer, who are folks like you guys, that stuff's not as important. So what we do talk about are things like the money you have in your account. So you can see in the top left, this particular account has a checking account, a PayPal account connected. And then you can also see, if you go down a little bit further, an eBay account. And so what we're doing is we're showing you your real-time balances across all these accounts so you can know exactly how much money you have and any money that you may owe. And then if you look to the right, you can see your profit and loss, very simple. The red bars are how much money went out of your business, and the green is how much came in. So you can see on a monthly basis how you're doing. And then on the bottom right, we're showing your expenses by category. So these are things like eBay fees, maybe your PayPal expenses, maybe your cost of goods sold. And again, this is just the dashboard, so I'll dig in a little bit more and show you more details of a couple of these reports. But what I would take away from this is the kind of, as easy as this looks, is really how easy that we built Outright to be for you. And to the next slide. So here's an example of some of the customized charts that we have available. This one is your best customers. So you can see you can choose a period, so you can view by month. You can choose a custom date range. And when you update that chart, it'll simply show you who's bought the most from you over that time frame and how much you've made from them. And we have a lot of folks who sell online who get great business insight from this. They say, gosh, I didn't realize that I had somebody buy more than a couple of things from me. Maybe I should track them down and reach out and say thank you, or ask them for a referral or something of that sort. And while we have all of those nice summary reports, we also provide what we call the transaction level detail. So as I mentioned earlier, any account that you have connected, whether it's your PayPal account or a bank account, we'll grab all of those transactions on a daily basis. We'll bring them in to either the income or the expenses, wherever they belong, and we'll automatically have those all entered for you and categorized. So, this is really where Joel earlier mentioned about kind of the old way used to be manually entering all this stuff in the ledger. We've automated that to save you a lot of time and also to help with accuracy. And by the way, sorry, one other comment I'll make on that prior slide. You'll see that when things come in, they are categorized. So you can see in this example, we have PayPal fees and eBay fees. Some things that come in may be a little bit more obscure, and so we're not exactly sure what that is. And so what we'll do is we have a category that's simply called not sure. And we'll put those items into that category, and then when you come in, you can simply either change those categories to what makes sense for you, or you can create a custom category. And Outright's smart enough that moving forward, we'll recognize how you may have categorized those items. So if we see something similar come in the future, we'll make sure that it's categorized the way that you prefer it to be. And when we're categorizing those transactions, one of the things that we're doing is we're also categorizing those for tax time. And this is really important for online sellers. One of the things that we've learned is that while business insights are great and very valuable and help you, grow your business over time, a lot of small businesses are keeping track of their finances simply for tax time, right? They come in April or even now, you start to become a little bit overwhelmed with this tax burden. And part of what we provide with Outright are some very helpful tax reports. The one that's shown here is what we call the Schedule C worksheet. So as a sole proprietor, which most of you probably are, when you file your personal income taxes, you're also filing what's called a Schedule C, which is the tax form for your business. And what we're able to do is, because we have all of your both income and expense transactions, while we're categorizing those for the business, we're also categorizing those for tax time. And what that allows us to do is to give you this Schedule C worksheet that makes it really easy for you to handle your business taxes. So you can take this worksheet, you can print it out and give it to your CPA or your tax professional, and they'll probably thank you for making this so easy on them. Or if you're using tax software, you can pretty simply map these line items to the line items on the tax software, type them in, and you're good to go. And we also have a couple of other features in the tax space. We have a lot of sellers who are paying quarterly estimated taxes. And one of the biggest challenges with quarterly estimated taxes is simply not knowing how much to pay because of their estimates. And so what we do is we'll look at the transactions in Outright and we'll say, hey, it looks like you should be paying about this much, and we'll give you a reminder when those are due as well. And then if you're collecting sales tax, we'll also keep a running tab for you so you know how much you've collected. So when it's time for you to send that payment or remit to the state, you know how much to send. So that's a quick overview of what we do for Outright. As I mentioned, if you have questions, feel free to type them in, and Willow, as they come in, if it makes sense, feel free to shout them out, and I'll do my best to answer. And then otherwise, I'll pass it back to Joel so he can talk about Shoeboxed. Let me before I turn things over, let me make two other quick comments. One is that when I talked about all of the accounts that can be connected to Outright, Shoeboxed is one of those accounts as well. So as Joel gets into the demo with Shoeboxed, the way that Shoeboxed will take receipts and digitize them, that data can also flow directly into Outright, so that those transactions or those receipts are digitized and also part of your expense tracking. And I'll also say, as Willow talks a little bit about Stitch, we're really excited at Outright to think about how we can integrate with Stitch as well. They do a great job of keeping track of more details on the revenue side, but also inventory, which is we know is a really big pain for makers and online sellers. And so we're excited for that opportunity as well.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, we actually do have a few questions for you, so I'll keep you here for just a little bit to address them.
Sure.
One of our participants asked a little bit about what kind of support Outright has for Canada. Like, for example, her Canadian bank account isn't on there, so what would she do?
Right. So unfortunately, we don't support. Oh, there's a doorbell. What do you know? We don't support a lot of international banks at the time, and it's something that we're looking into, and hopefully we can get to it more next year. But currently, we don't. There are ways that you can take export to a CSV, for example, which is just a spreadsheet, and upload that data into Outright. It's not a great experience, but we do have some folks using it. But hopefully, sometime either later this year or early next year, we'll be able to support more international banks.
Okay, cool. And then how regularly does Outright sync with bank accounts? Like, does it happen automatically on a regular basis?
Yeah, so we connect to the accounts, and then we sync them every night. So when you log in the next day, you should see all of your transactions updated in Outright.
Okay, and so if somebody's having a problem like syncing regularly, they should just check in with tech support?
That's right. So we have a lot of support folks at Outright. The easiest way to get a hold of us is to email support@outright.com, and we'll take a look at your account. And if there seems to be some kind of an issue, one of the things we recommend is if you go to your online bank and make sure that you can log in with your online bank. Sometimes they, ask for password resets and that type of thing, which could block access into your account. If that doesn't work, just shoot a note to support@outright.com. And we'll get back to you within the day. If it seems to be a bigger issue, we'll probably ask for you to hop on a phone call with us and make sure that we can work through it. But if you've had success in the past and it just seems to stop, just let us know and we'll figure out how to get that account working again for you.
Cool. Yeah, that's the one thing that I was saying on the last call that I love is that, these new startup services, like we're not, thankfully, we're not so big. Like we really support and customer service is so important to us, and we learn so much from the users out there that are telling us, like we rely on them to be like, hey, this isn't working so hot, or how can we change it? So very cool.
You got it.
Okay, so a few more questions for you, kind of just about some integrations. Like, for example, the lady from Canada was asking maybe it could sync with Mint. Have you ever thought to do something like that?
Yeah, so
just
right
so that
now,
she's not like manually exporting the CSV, and just wondering if you've thought about that integration.
Yeah, so what we do is we take feedback all the time on new accounts that folks would like to have integrated with Outright, and that's the way that really we prioritize. So I'm happy to take back Mint to the team as one that we should consider integration. We do know that there are a lot of small businesses who are keeping track of their finances in Mint, so we'd have to think about what makes sense and how we could bring that data into Outright and what the advantages are. I know that a lot of the banks that Mint supports, Outright also supports, but I imagine that you're doing some things to maybe categorize or filter expenses inside of Mint, and you don't want to kind of have to repeat that work. So that's something that's I don't think I've heard that one too frequently. I'm familiar with Mint, but I'll certainly take that back to the team. And if you have more insight onto kind of how you'd like to see that work, you can also email me. My email address is just Ryan, R-Y-A-N, @outright.com, and I'm happy to chat about it with you.
Perfect. Yeah, it's my understanding, and I was excited to find Outright just because it really is so focused for business users, so I've been loving that. Do you have any plans for integration with Square?
Yeah, so that's one that we've actually looked at that. I think that's a really exciting opportunity. We've had a lot of conversations with the folks at Square, and they don't have what's called an API, which is kind of a geeky tech term, but basically it means being able to pull data from different places requires pretty strict levels of security so that we know that your data is protected both on their side and on our side. And so as soon as Square makes that technology available, we're really excited to be able to go get that data. I think it's a great fit. I know that a lot of makers and online sellers are using Square for some of their offline transactions as they're going to trade shows and fairs and that type of thing. So we'd be really excited to integrate with them as soon as that technology is available.
Awesome. And I think that's just about it. So you can go ahead and, oh, I have one more question for you, and this is a great one. Can you add multiple Etsy stores?
You can, yeah. So if you're an Outright, or if you're an Etsy seller and you're using Outright for the first time, if you go to outright.com/Etsy, we have kind of a unique sign-up flow that makes it really easy to get that first Etsy account added. And then what will happen is we'll connect to your Etsy account, and then you'll see that overview page that I showed a few screens ago. And from that page, there's a link at the top that says Accounts. And if you click on that button, it'll take you to a screen where you can add more accounts. And you'll see where you can either search or you'll see Etsy actually listed there too. And so just click on that, and you'll just be able to add a second Etsy account just like you had the first one, and all of those transactions will start coming in as well.
Fabulous. All righty, that's all for now.
Okay, thanks everybody.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Great. Guys, this is Joel again from Shoeboxed. I'll give you a quick overview of our service and kind of open your eyes to how we integrate with Outright. We are a great complement to what they do. We sort of bridge the gap between real world and paper and all of the digital information that's floating around out there and that you can pull in directly to Outright. Shoeboxed is a service that organizes your receipts, invoices, and business cards. You send us those documents through any number of methods, either using our postage-paid pre-addressed envelopes that we provide. You can scan them directly to us. You can take a picture of them with your phone and send them to us. If you get an email receipt, you could just forward that to us. We scan everything, we extract the data, we human verify the data that's extracted, and then we make everything available to either access inside of your Shoeboxed account, or you can send it to many other services like Outright. We have a great integration with Outright where they actually pull data from Shoeboxed. I believe it's once or twice a day. If there's any new receipt data, it automatically shows up in Outright. The reason you would need both services is really that, again, going back to the IRS and the state tax authority protection, giving you the ability to pull up original receipts in a matter of seconds if and when you need to, in case you need to prove that, again, the $50 that you spent at the Shell station, you need to prove that that was for gas and not for beef jerky and soda pop, okay? So we make it very easily we make it very easy to organize all of your receipts and invoices for taxes and bookkeeping. A lot of people use Shoeboxed as an exercise to get rid of the paper. Okay, if you've been in business for any length of time, you know by now that the piles of paper accumulate faster than you can deal with them in a lot of cases. Again, this is where our postage-paid envelopes come in handy. You just stuff everything in the envelope. You don't have to organize it. You don't have to do anything to it other than drop it in the mail. We're going to get everything organized and digitized for you. And then again, we give you the ability to export that expense data to your accounting software or many other popular tools that are out there. I gave you guys kind of a quick overview of how it works. If you're a visual person like me, this may be a little bit easier to digest. You send us your stuff. We turn it into data. We human verify the data that's extracted. And then you can send it to any host of other tools that are available out there. this is a view of what we call the receipt table. In Shoeboxed, you'll see the line items listed here are fairly common expenses. From every receipt, we extract the date of purchase, the vendor name, the total amount, and the payment type. If that payment type is a credit card or a debit card, we also extract and verify the last 4 digits of that card number. What this allows you to do is to very easily filter your information. Just for example, if you wanted to see all of the meals and entertainment expenses that you had in the fourth quarter of 2011 that were paid for with your debit card, that's a report that you could run in Shoeboxed in literally a matter of seconds. And like Outright, this is just delivering back great and useful business intelligence that will help you run your business more effectively. For each transaction, we assign it to a category. Okay, we assign things to the IRS 15 most common tax deduction categories by default. You can also create custom categories, and you can create rules that drive receipts from specific vendors into those categories. Now, at the individual receipt level, you can see the scanned original receipt. These blue circles don't show up on your receipt. Those are just here for illustration purposes. But again, we extract the vendor, the date, the payment type, and the total amount. And then based on the vendor, that receipt is assigned to a specific category. The receipts that are stored in Shoeboxed are accepted by the IRS, and they are accepted by all 50 state tax authorities. As you can imagine, there are some very specific rules about what scanned receipts are accepted and what scanned receipts are not. We are very cognizant of those rules, and as needed, we update our system to be compliant with the requirements that they set forward. Why do we do this? We do this so you can put your data to work without you having to do a whole lot of work to do so. As it mentions here, it's very easy to sync with Outright. Outright is one of our preferred integrations because it's completely automatic. You don't have to do anything other than send us your documents and connect your Outright and your Shoeboxed account. Everything goes automatically. Ryan, don't get mad at me, but we have a lot of other accounting tools that we integrate with as well, including QuickBooks and Quicken, Xero, Sasu, and several other tools that are out there. Now, Will, do you want to see if there's any questions about Shoeboxed? That's kind of the Shoeboxed in a nutshell. And if not, I will hand it back to you and let you run with the rest of the show here.
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted to ask you, we have a question here that is, you said something I think maybe about human verifying, is that what you said? And I'm just wondering, in the verification process, if there are people, we have a question asking, like if they're in the United States, or just who are these people?
Yeah, that's a great question, one that we get quite often, actually. So Shoeboxed is located in Durham, North Carolina. We run 2 shifts a day of what we call operators. And these are the people that do the scanning. And then after the documents have been scanned and run through an OCR process, which is an acronym for optical character recognition, which is really that's what allows software to understand information on paper. After that happens, the scanned document and the extracted data go in front of one of our operators. They either verify that the information was extracted correctly, or they fix it that's before the document and the data are released to your account. Everyone that works in our processing center has passed a background check. It's a supervised environment. There are no cameras, cell phones, camera phones, or any electronics allowed in there. There's no backpacks, purses, or jackets allowed in there. And we do a very good job of making sure that your real world data and your electronic world data are safe and secure.
Awesome. And then one other question for you is, how does Shoeboxed, or maybe even Outright probably helps us in some way too, but how does Shoeboxed handle the categorization of multiple items bought from a single location? For example, you might buy food and sheets and stuff all bought at Costco, but they're all in different categories.
Yeah, that's a good question. We do hear that occasionally. Within Shoeboxed, a single receipt can go into multiple categories, but we do not split the transaction. typically that's done within the accounting system itself. And so while in Shoebox you could identify it as being maybe household goods and food, to actually split that transaction and attribute fractional dollar amounts to each of those categories, that would happen after you send the data from Shoebox into your accounting program. And
okay, cool.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that that's exactly, and I think once you have that set up, I know for me, I would probably want to categorize that and have that in Outright or my accounting program. But yeah, I can see how that's important. Awesome. I actually, just speaking to Shoebox, I actually will be on Thursday's call. It's all going to be about contact management, and I'll be talking a lot about the ways I've used Shoebox and just am so impressed with using Shoebox in terms of collecting business cards and keeping all of your contacts managed. It's a pretty powerful source in that way as well.
Yeah, exactly. We do the exact same thing for business cards. And so if you send us a pile of business cards that you might collect at a trade show or a craft fair or something, within a day or so we would turn that into contact data that you could put into your email marketing system very easily.
Awesome. Cool. Well, the one thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of Stitch is just talking about, we've sort of seen the powerful accounting tools behind Outright and then what you can do with Shoebox, especially in terms of keeping all your receipts in order, which I love that they call it Shoebox because I literally for years have kept my receipts in Shoebox. So basically with Stitch, if any of you are not familiar with it already, it helps you manage your inventory and sales both online and offline. So it really empowers you to see this data around your individual products. And that's really the difference. Outright does a fantastic job of connecting with your bank accounts and being able to have all your transactions come down, which has been really helpful. I know I've heard from a ton of Etsy sellers that they have loved that because it actually helps you see what your income is and what your expenses are. One step further is really being able to see your products, like down to the specific products. And that's where Stitch comes in. You're able to put all of your products in there and even actually connect automatically with Etsy, connect it with a Shopify store. We've got a lot of other integrations coming along as well. And it's going to give you really specific sales data down to like specific product variations, which I think I maybe have on this next slide. So this can be kind of an overwhelming view, but pretend this is your business. This is just the dashboard that you see on the back end of Stitch, and it's just a great example of showing you how at a glance you're able to look at any invoices that are outstanding or past due, some of your top customers, any packages that you need to send out, some of your top products at the time. So it really gives you this window view into your income and your expenses from a very like product specific and inventory specific view. Next slide. And here's an example where I was telling you how you can kind of like drill down into seeing how your products are doing. I couldn't believe what a geek I became, excuse me, in the world of data around my business. But the more you're able to have the data, this view into how your business is doing so that you don't have to keep it all in your head. I don't know about you, but like I knew that one of my lines was like the most popular lines, one of my designs, but I couldn't have told you, certainly with no like specific certainty, what actually was selling the most. So this is just a screenshot example here that you can see like, okay, in this example, the yoga pants are what are absolutely selling the most. Second to that are these handbags, and down, even further. This is just one example of a sales report you can get. You can actually do a ton of different things. You can drill down, and actually it's really dynamic too. It's beautiful for designers especially. You can drill down. So in this, once it's interactive and live on the site, you're able to like click into the yoga pants and it like magically and beautifully creates this the new reports drilled down into that before your eyes, so it'll be able to show you the colors and the sizes and just what's doing well more specifically to your product. Next slide. This is a great example of some of the financial reports that you can do. So again, Ryan showed us some amazing things in Outright and helping you kind of recognize what your cost of goods are, what your profit and loss is. And so here it's got at the top, the very top line of your inventory and sort of the, cost, profit and loss. But then you can see below that, in this example, we've got note cards. And then even below that, this first product option that it's showing you of like this specific design, which in this case is like mustaches. So like on this design, mustaches, and you can just see how powerful this reporting is. It not only shows you high level, like over the whole year, this is what the profit and loss looks like, but you can actually go down and look at that profit and loss to a specific product family, which in this case is note cards, or even specific design. So it's really, really powerful, and it gives you that ability to see, how your products are doing, where they're selling the best, and in addition to that, even the same as Outright, where you can actually see what your best customers are, maybe your certain wholesale accounts, things like that. Just to let you know again, and I kind of mentioned this already, but that on Thursday, this Thursday, day after tomorrow, I'm going to be going over contact management. So this is going to include a lot about Shoeboxed. It's going to include a lot about keeping in touch with your customers. So for example, if you wanted to see who some of your best customers are and then reach out to them, we're going to actually talk about that, which is awesome. And then the next slide. The next one, the last one actually in our four out of 4 webinar series is going to be on Tuesday, and this is going to be about managing inventory. So this is really getting back into what I just sort of skimmed over at a light level. We're going to talk a lot about managing your inventory and streamlining your sales, and kind of our whole goal around Stitch is just to help save you time, and that's why we named it that, is like stitching it all together so that you're not going in 5 million places to manage your inventory. But I really want to be able to, and this is my goal in all these webinars, is that you're able to take something away from this that isn't just related to these products, but that will help you in your business no matter what. So in this one will definitely help, kind of the data that you need to wrangle together for your business so that you can make efficient, smart business decisions that will help save you time, and so that you can sell more and be more successful in your business. So we are coming to the end, and I just want to see if anyone has any other questions. You're more than welcome to type them in. We've got a little extra time. Any questions about accounting or saving receipts or connecting bank accounts, tracking inventory, anything like that? We have got For Shoeboxed, which I think what Joel can answer, what is a kickoff scan?
A kickoff scan, yeah, that is, so we offer our subscriptions in both monthly or annual subscriptions. For people that purchase the annual subscription, we give them kickoff scans or catch-up scans, depending on where you find it on the website. And that's just a bonus or an additional quantity of documents that we will process for them. For example, on our classic plan, which is 150 documents per month, if you sign up for the annual plan, we actually give you 500 additional documents that you can send in.
Right on. Okay, cool. So, yeah, and actually just to even cover that, what's neat about all three of these services is I know Outright has like an awesome free plan that you can do a lot with the free plan. Shoeboxed has this amazing free plan, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about on Thursday with the contact stuff you can totally do on their free plan. And then as well, the Stitch Labs, we've got this free trial so you can kind of like connect everything and see how it's working. So I know that I know these companies well, and I'm so excited we've been able to work together with Ryan and Joel and all the people, and it's like so neat to see because they're really committed to helping customers. You guys are all going to be able to grab this video. We've been recording it the whole time, and so we're going to send you a link. Anyone who has registered, you'll be able to receive a link to the video to catch up. If you guys have any questions at any time on any of the specific services, please don't hesitate to reach out and say hi to us. We're all on Twitter and available by email and on our websites. And I know I can speak for all of us when I say customer service is a very important part of what we do, and so we're happy to answer any of your questions. Does anyone else have anything else to add?
I don't. This was great, and I appreciate everyone's time.
Cool. Yeah, we're ending early, but I think we're all set. We hope to see you guys on the call this Thursday and then again next Tuesday. Thanks so much, guys.